Hello everybody, this is your boy coming to you with a video. Before I get into this video, please comment, like, share, subscribe, notification bell on top of the video, and most importantly, comment after the video is complete. Don't forget the thumbs up because that would matter the most. Then get my video circulated all over YouTube land. Well, let's go ahead and get right into this video. Okay, you already, to Eagles fans, I think you guys already know who's been injured on the Eagles list. Some of these guys were placed on injury reserve, and some of these guys were waived with the injury settlement. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The Eagles have released Greedy Williams and punter Ty Zettler. These two releases were expected because they both underperformed in the last two preseason games. Ty Zettler in the last game against the Cleveland Browns did very poorly in the punting situation. So the Eagles now are on the waiver wire, probably trying to find a better punter, or gonna wait for some guys to get released between now and the preseason when it comes to an end. Greedy Williams did horribly in both preseason games, like I mentioned. He allowed some balls to go over his head. He failed to do any tackling, and some of the plays that were that could have been handled better, should have been handled better by him, because he was brought in as a as a potential starter after being with the Cleveland Browns. He was a second-round draft pick by the Browns, and the Browns cut him this offseason. The Eagles gave him a second chance by signing him. So now the question remains: will any team pick him up? Which they probably will, because he's been released. So, I mean, he's free to sign with any team going forward. The same can be said for Ty Zettler, who was also released, like I mentioned. And like I said, he failed to do punting inside the 20-yard line. I think the last punt he did was way beyond the 30-yard line. And you know, when you punt the ball, the ball is supposed to have an excellent hang time in the air, at least as high as 30 or 40 feet in the air before it lands inside the 20. Because when you punt, any NFL coach or player or fan know, when you punt balls, it's supposed to have an excellent hang time, at least 35 or 40 feet in the air. And when it lands, it's supposed to land inside the 20, which is either 20 yards, 15 yards, 5 yards, depending where the ball lands on the outskirts of the borderline of the field. And so he punted a ball inside the 50, which gave the Cleveland Browns excellent field position in the game we tied to. So that led to his release. And I guess those two releases wasn't so surprised. You know what I'm saying? So the Eagles now are going to have some extra guys to fill. They probably not going to, because like I said, we have to release and cut guys heading into this last game, which is next week. Okay, then here's who the Eagles signed in place of the guys that have been either waived or released. The Eagles have signed defensive tackle Robert Cooper, defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, and defensive tackle Caleb Sanders. Linebackers Tariq Maddox Williams and Quentin Bell. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3. Excuse me. That's a total of 5 players right there the Eagles have signed, because these guys they signed are just camp bodies. Will they make an impact? We don't know. But in this last game coming up, they have a good chance. But I do remember a couple of these guys the Eagles have had. I remember Robert Cooper. Robert Cooper could make an impact, because I think we lost a defensive tackle to injury, but it was a minor injury. So that's why the Eagles brought in 3 instead of 2. Then we had a special team linebacker that got hurt. Kavon, I forgot his name is Kavon. I can't think of his last name, but you know his name is Kavon. Kavon is out for the year, and so they want the Eagles brought in 2 linebackers. So one of these guys is probably gonna make the roster. Tariq Mattis Williams or Quentin Bell. So one of these guys are gonna get released after next week comes to an end. And here's who the Eagles signed. I mean, here the Eagles released or waived. We're actually waived with an injury settlement. As you all know, cornerback Zach McPherson had a season-ending injury. He's been waived with an injury settlement. Wide receiver Tyreek Cleveland, who has a neck injury and got waived. It's a crime shame too, because Tyreek Cleveland was doing real well in the last 2 preseason games. So for him to get released would mean the Eagles might bring him back after he cleared waivers. If he's healthy, the Eagles could bring him back and release somebody to make a roster spot. Defensive tackle Noah Ellis. Now this is a guy. Like I said, the Eagles had a defensive tackle injury. I can't think of his name off the bat, and there he is. Noah Ellis. It's the guy who got hurt with an injury settlement. So I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. I think it was an ankle injury, or it might have been a knee injury. Not exactly sure what happened to Noah Ellis, but he's been waived with the injury settlement. And here's a note that you guys need to also know. If these guys don't get claimed, they will be revert back to the Eagles injury reserve list, which is more than likely that these guys will revert back to injury reserve, which means open spots for the team to sign. And I mentioned some guys already signed already. Eagles already signed 3 defensive tackles and 2 linebackers, and they waived 3 players: Zach McPherson, Tyree Cleveland, and Noah Ellis. So those three guys were waived on injury settlement. With an injury settlement, they were waived, and they released Greedy Williams and Ty and Ty Zettner. Those guys are were either released or waived. And so far, that's a total of 5 guys released, 5 guys signed. I tell you, that let you know where the Eagles have done their diligence. Like I said, they brought in 5 guys on offense, 5 guys on defense, and none on offense, which means that the Eagles are more likely to keep the guys they got on offense. Some of them guys gonna be playing special teams or gonna be playing back up to players on the field. And this is going to be very interesting to see what happens, because, like I said, we have to bring talented second string players, and the guys they signed are second string players. So next week, Robert Cooper, Marvin Wilson, and Caleb Sanders, along with Tariq Mattis Williams and Quentin Bell, will be playing in the last and final game next week. So those 5 guys have a good chance to prove their worth, to be second and third stringers, because third stringers are more likely to end up on the practice squad if not claimed by other teams. Or the Eagles could release some more play, release all these guys, and bring in some more guys from the waiver wire from other teams. Cause there gonna be lots of good players that are gonna be released by other teams in the coming days, if they ain't already have happened already. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you actually look forward to. And these 5 guys, like I said, only guy I remember out of this bunch that been signed is Robert Cooper. The other guys I'm not even familiar with. So that should give you some idea right there. These guys they signed are probably have been released from other players in the preseason or have been released in the off season. So that's what we are going to have to figure out going forward. And this is an odd list. Like I said, they haven't released on the players that they released on offense. Were wide receiver Tyree Cleveland, who've been waived on the injury settlement. He's the only guy that they waived on offense. And like I said, Tyree Cleveland was doing so well. I mean, this guy had over 100-some receiving yards in the past 2 preseason games. No touchdown score. He was a big body receiver, 6'5", but have a neck injury, which is probably, well, I guess it was viewed as minor at first, but apparently it's not minor now, because for him to get waived on the injury settlement, which means it wasn't minor, so it must have been a serious neck injury, which is probably going to heal up in the coming days, because I'm quite sure he's going to bring these guys back. Zach McPherson might come back. We don't know, because he was playing under his final contract of the year. Tyree Cleveland was a guy they brought in. They brought him in as a camp body, but he wound up becoming more than a camp body. And Noah Ellis was also another camp body, and so he became a little bit more than a camp body. So the Eagles were probably going to have probably 4 or 5 defensive tackles in this group. But after Noah Ellis getting injured, now he's on the injured reserve that was waived with an injury settlement. So that should give you some ideas right now of what the Eagles are facing, because the injury bug has hit the defense more than hit the offense. Because if you guys remember, what's his name hurt his shoulder. Smith. What's his name? Noah. I forgot the Eagle first round pick 30 overall. I think it's Noah Smith. I could be wrong. But he hurt his shoulder going for a tackle. He landed awkwardly on it. Well, actually, he went for the tackle, and one of our own players fell on him, and that would hurt his shoulder. So it might be just a small shoulder sprain, and that's why he didn't go back in the game. And he's more likely to not play this last final preseason game, because he proved his worth. The guy played with a reckless abandonment. So he's going to work on that, because see, we gonna need that guy to back up Hakeem Reddick. You know, Hakeem Reddick. We're gonna need him to back up Reddick. You know what I'm saying? So he can't stay hurt. He can't. We gonna need him. And so, like I said, these are the guys that were injured and waived or released. I mean, waived and released and signed. And I believe that's probably going to be all the signing for today, or might have been he got signed yesterday, or probably this morning. I'm not exactly sure what the case may be, but I just got these 5 guys that were signed. Like I said, these guys were on defense. I mentioned to you all 5 guys, 3 defensive tackles and 2 linebackers were signed. They released 2 players, you know who they are, and they waived 3 guys, and you know who they are. A neck injury, a season-ended Achilles injury, who won't be back to next year. And Noah Ellis, I'm not exactly sure what his situation was, but he had been waived with injury. So those 3 injuries are probably significant, and they're probably severe. But I do know Zach McPherson's Achilles injury is definitely severe, so he's out for the year, and that's why he waived with an injury settlement. Tyree Cleveland, well, we know Tyree Cleveland had a neck injury, so his neck injury is probably severe, which is probably he probably won't be back until around September. He probably won't be back until about November or December of the coming year. Because sports injuries take time. They just can't heal automatically. It takes time to heal sports injuries, and these are sports injuries because these guys use their bodies, and bodily harm, body injuries. They're very severe, depending on how significant it is, and so that's one reason why these guys were waived. So that's what I want to bring to you guys. That's what I want to talk about. And so again, it's the Almighty One coming to another video. Hope you guys like this video, comment, and please share the video, and also don't forget to thumbs up. And again, thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. If you're young or new, I'm trying to grow a notification gang here as well. I'm over 265 subs. the mission to get to 300. So once I get 300, that'll be wonderful for me, because that means you guys like my content. And so far I haven't had anyone to be removed so far off my sub list. And I also know that my videos do get liked, and once they get liked, like I said, they travel all over social media and YouTube land, which means that people out there watching my videos have not subbed my channel. Please sub the channel if you like the content. If you don't like the content, and it is what it is, just enjoy the video, because I can't say anything negative, because if you see my video, to me, you like my videos, regardless if you sub or don't sub. But I would love you to sub. That would be very wonderful for me, and it will make my notification game grow even better. Like I said, I'm trying to get 300, and I hope I hit 300 before the end of the year. And I am out bringing you some Eagles news. Enjoy your Saturday morning, and I am out.